Okay, here's the URC remote control programming software, also known as Complete Control. They also have another software called Total Control, but the remote controls that we're going to talk about are Complete Control. Let's take a look. The software here has File, Edit, View, Program, Tools, Communication, Windows, and Help. Let's take a look. The only one I use up here is when I'm opening or if I'm starting from scratch. Edit, I don't get involved with this area. View is a very useful area we'll talk about further, such as pages and in finding my sub menus. Program, we're going to use this from left to right. Tools, I use two areas, image gallery, and I also use the IR database. Again, image gallery, IR database. I don't get involved with any of this stuff. Communication. This is when you get from a customer's remote control an existing program, or if I need to go ahead and send it to the remote control, I select here. Windows, I don't get involved with. Okay. You can go to the default layout if you don't know where your menus are, but I don't get involved with that. Let's go back to File. File, let's go to New. I'll select Yes, No, I'll select No. Now, in here is when I'm going to go ahead and select something from scratch, whether I'm programming 890 or 780 or the 880s. We don't get involved with any of these others. So the 780 is our standard remote control, and then the 890 is the other remote control we program. So let's do the 890. I'm going to select OK. And I like using Apex. It's just a kind of layout. You can kind of go with different layouts, but I kind of like Apex. So here we have the simulator. The simulator actually shows you exactly what the remote is and what each button will do. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take a look at this page here. It's the program page. We're going to configure the home because we want to go ahead and add a device that will allow my devices to be concealed in a closet or a cabinet. So over here we have our remote controls. My 890 is already over here. So I also want to add an RF device. We use two of them, the MRF350 or the 260. We're going to use the MRF350. Let's add that over. And I want to go ahead and by default always change this to 6, the RFID. You never know if a neighbor already has an RFID of 1. So let's go ahead and just do 6. Okay? Select OK. All right, and if you ever have to go in and change an RFID, okay, something's not working, that's because this right here is not set correctly by going to MRF350 and selecting Properties. And this is where you select the RFID. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create devices. Okay, now in this page, we're going to have 3 pages. We're going to have a main page. We're also going to go ahead and have a main devices and then our activity devices. So now let's start with our activity devices. What would be our activity devices would be our cable box, our DVD player, and Apple TV. Those are our activity devices. Okay, so I'm going to go down here. I could select activities, brands, or devices. So since I already know what devices I'm going to be using, I'm going to look for a device of a Blu-ray. I'm going to look for a device of a TV. Let's see here. Well, actually, an Apple TV would be good. So let's go to brands. Bring an Apple TV over. I'll put that right here. And then we also know we're going to be doing a Verizon box. The Verizon box will go here. And then you could also put an Xbox if you so choose to. Somebody has a game system. Okay, there you go. Those are my activity devices. The next page, okay, let's go here. We're going to save this page. Next one is going to be my main devices. What would be the common denominator? That would be my TV. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to devices. I would have my TV. And I'll also have a receiver. Now, receivers here in URC, you will need 2. And we'll talk about that. So I'm going to bring 2 of them over. I'm going to bring 1 over. That's going to be considered a receiver. If you're ever controlling zone 2, you would need to bring that over. But we don't control zone 2 with remote controls anymore, because if you're controlling zone 2, you're going to be using the app on the phone, as most receivers, Yamaha, Onkyo, Denon, they all have their apps. So we only use remote controls for video only. But what we will need is the sound field. So I'm going to go over here, and then I'm going to go down here. Next step, I'm going to call this sounds. Okay? Now, those are my these are my common denominator devices. Okay? So I'll select save. Okay? Now, I'm going to select the next thing, which is going to be layouts. Okay? That from left to right. Remember that. So my Blu-ray Apex Aqua, what is it? My Blu-ray is a DVD. So I'm going to add pages. And look to the left here. You'll notice that there's no pluses, but once I add a page, you'll see a plus be added. Apple TV is going to be an auxiliary. Verizon is going to be cable TV. An Xbox is going to be auxiliary. A TV is going to be TV. A receiver is going to be audio. Sounds is going to be audio. And the next, as you can see, we have pluses, so we have pages. Now it's time to add data to the pages. So sound, let's go here to the top. A Blu-ray is, we're going to select the device. We're going to go ahead and select the codes, the IR codes that we need to control the devices. And after each one, you have to save. Okay? And in this area, you can also test commands as the remote control is plugged in and pointing the remote control and selecting test, but we'll talk about that later. So a Blu-ray is going to be a DVD, and we're going to look for the brand manufacturer, which is going to be Samsung. And typically on the DVDs, we could just go right to the bottom, or if you know the actual code of the actual device, you can find it in here. Okay? But if not, you can always stick here, and if there's a command that doesn't work, that's when you go back into this area. So I'm going to select Save All, and you'll notice that it's going to save 45 codes. So you have to go down and do each one. An Apple TV is going to be an auxiliary device. We're going to look at Apple TV. We're going to scroll down to the most recent. When you see down here, this is the most latest IR codes that are available. So I'm going to select Save All. I've now saved codes for Apple TV. There's not many. There's only 8. A Verizon is going to be a cable. And we're going to look for Motorola. That's the manufacturer. And I'm also going to look at, down here, Motorola down here. But sometimes this does not work. So I'm going to go to the actual model number of the actual box, which is going to QIP 7216. So I'm going to select Save All. Whenever you have the code, use the code. If not, go down to the bottom. Let's go to the next box. Now, Xbox can be controlled by an IR, so I'm going to look at a game. And we're going to look for Microsoft. And I'm going to look at an Xbox 360. Or you can try the codes for Xbox. Okay. So going in here, see where it's got Xbox One. where it's got, see, this is called a discrete power on off, whereas this one here looks to be a toggle on off. So let's go here, and then this also has secondary pages. So I would go here and save all. And my TV. My TV is going to be a Sony. So I'm going to look at Sony. And I'm going to go all the way down to the most latest. Typically these popular brands will have the latest down at the bottom. So I'm going to save all. I'm going to go to my receiver, and I'm going to look at audio, and I'm going to scroll down to Yamaha. Now, if in here, this is where you can't really go down all the way to the bottom. They sometimes don't have a command I need, so I have to look for the actual one. Right now, if you notice, RXA740, right now we're up to the 760, which is 2 years behind, but these are the only codes they have available for us, telling us that nothing has really changed. So I'm going to use the 740 main, and this is why we had to set up 2 receiver devices, because you'll have main, and then you have this one here, which has all my sound fields. So we're going to select this one for the first one. And the next one here is going to be my sounds. And I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to set save all. All right, we're done adding IR codes for our devices. The next thing is called punch. Really, what is punch? Basically, when you select the activity, what volume do we need? So what I'm going to do here, there's a common denominator, so the volume is going to always be controlled, right? So now we'll go here. Volume is always going to be my receiver. Okay, I'll save that for a second. And my Blu-ray, as you can see, it's already receiver. I'm going to go ahead and control my Blu-ray. What device is the channel going to use? Is the Blu-ray. Navigation is going to use Blu-ray. The play stop is going to use Blu-ray. Number is going to be Blu-ray. So I'll go to the next one. Okay, and it's going to be my Apple TV, even though it doesn't do channels. Apple TV for my navigation, of course. Play stop, and they don't have that, but I'll just put it in there anyways. And the same thing for Verizon. So when you hit the channel, what device do I want it to control when I hit the channel button? And the same thing here is going to be Verizon. Play stop is going to be Verizon. And Verizon. Next thing is going to be Xbox. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and control all my functions on my remote to be, Xbox. The next thing we're going to do is go to TV. Okay, so I'm going to select TV. Receiver, of course, those are my receiver. Here's going to be sounds. If a customer wanted to use, there's the remote to control zone 2. Not sure why they would, but that's where you would put zone 2, another one in there. Okay, so I'll select save and just double check by going up, making sure that it's all correct. I didn't miss any. Okay, great. We've now done the punch through. The next thing we're going to do is RF. Now, over here we can select RF or ID or just RF. Certain situations would say, hey, look, I want to control this box